It was the wrong mic stand that was activated. Damn it. I'll do the quick TLDR on that. Because it activated the wrong mic stand. There's two in my, in the program. And I unmuted the one, but apparently that wasn't the right one. See... Hear music, no voice. Yeah, messed up there. Doing good, Dan. Good to see you back here. Space, I saw your comment in here. I thought it was a silent stream. Whoops. Yeah, I messed up on that. Catching up real quick. I'm sorry, everyone. And my mouse is having a malfunction. There we go. Had to reset it. Doing good, Dan. And saw your comment, Niz. Found out that I was being an idiot. What else is new? And let's see. Yes, I do have the wide angle back up and properly. Space, I did see your comment about being new to the stream. Happy to have you here. You'll be seeing the whole creation process. There might be some things I do in between streams, but otherwise a good chunk of each project is going to be actually here on camera. And then if for whatever reason you end up missing one of the streams, I'm currently working with IT. My video editing software is currently being flagged as somehow counterfeit, but it was illegal. It was an actual purchase, so I'm working with them to get that addressed. Catching up. Nope, there's discussion. Yep, I messed up. Extra special this morning. I blame no coffee yet, though. That's probably accurate. But just a quick TLDR what I was talking about. You guys are gonna finish this up. I'm gonna do a second dose of edge burnishing on this. We got 2 snaps to put in. I'm gonna do another coat of leather wax and balm on this. Once that's done, gonna do a brown edge coat as an accent, and then this piece will be done. This is going to be the next project that we actually end up starting. Going to be doing design because the guy needed a sheath. He lost the one that he had and needed a new sheath for it because he kept poking himself with the spikes on the handle and then the knife itself. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get this addressed and started designing, because we'll be able to do most of this minus the dyeing and stitching, because I try to dye before I do any stitching on this. Or on most of my projects, but I don't have the purple dye on my table right now, so that's going to be a off-stream run to my supplier to go get. But that will probably be dyed between streams, so then I can hopefully finish this up on the next one. So first things first, I'll set that there. I'm going to turn the wide angle off for a hot second so I can nab my dirty bean juice and put some of that in my mouth, and you're probably going to hear some other people peeping in once in a while, because I got a good friend actually just off camera kind of keeping me company. And for anyone that's been here for a while, one of my older videos, there's a friend of mine that was joining in where I was doing bag repairs. She should be swinging by sometime later in the stream. She's going to pick that up and hang out with us as well. So with that all set to go, let's go ahead and get this rolling after I get some coffee in me. Of course, you end up hitting the wrong one. Scene filter. Let me do this. I'm not going to mess that up again. I set color coordination on the stream on the camera, so I can go ahead and fix that next time. I was about to say, yeah, wrong cam. Whoops, yeah. I'll live. So, we're going to go ahead and get this set first. I want to make sure this is looking good in placement. I'm going to set that up there. What I'm doing is I'm punching through the leather up top, then also at least marking the leather down below, so I know exactly where I'm going to be punching. Sweet. I'm probably going to need a bigger punch on this, but we shall see. You want to do me a favor? You want to close the door and the curtain? Yep.
We had the same idea.
Yep, I was just like, well. That should help with any possible echo. It's probably going to improve it immensely. Excellent. And now the real question of what color are there? Because we got what can be matching rivets. We got what can be matching rivets on the front here. But what I'm thinking for contrast, it'll be a nice kind of accent to it as well, is instead doing like this gray metal. I actually think that'll be a nice contrast to it.
That looks really good.
And I just need to make sure, because I don't think I'll be able to do line 20s with this. So I've got there's two different types of snaps that are out there in the market. There's line 20s and line 24s. Line 24 is actually a slightly bigger and stronger snap. You'll usually see that, at least from what I'm told, you'll usually see that in saddle work. But in cases like this, where I've just got too much leather to work with, my hand is kind of forced in doing line 24 snaps. I feel like I know that second voice. You might. It's no one from our shared community.
I was here last
You
time.
were. The person who made that comment is someone within the costuming community, but I don't think he's ever met you. That's really what I'm talking about. Ooh, leave that back there. Nope. Yes. One of the other things I actually had to do, and I'm super freaking happy that I actually did it this time, was did some conditioning of my tools, so now they're not grody and rusty, or not rusty, but there was like a weird varnish on it that had to get addressed between streams. I think the other one's hiding. I think I know where it's at. It's sitting in that box. Do you think you could do me a favor?
Yeah.
Out in the car, in the trunk, there's a wooden like case. Can you snag that and bring that in? Car's unlocked. You should just be able to hit the button, and it'll open. And yes, there's enough clearance in there that you could just hit that. One of the things I need is that there's a base plate that I need in order to set the rivets and snaps. So we're gonna set. I'm gonna look at this real quick, see if this is good. I'm gonna look at the chat. Still doing good there. Nope. Yeah, slightly bigger punch. So set that there. There we go. Because I don't think I have it in here. I didn't think I did. So this is an interchangeable head interchangeable head that you can use for these punches rather than having a ton of singular punches in a dedicated size. Granted, these aren't necessarily bad, but for me, it's a little bit of a love-hate relationship because of having to go ahead and fuck around with those. Yeah, that's the one. Give me a second. That's the small one. Let's go there. Pork. Thank you. Yep, now I was right. Some of my tools were in here, and I figured as much. Some of the rags. Don't need that. We'll need that. We'll need this. And this can go hang out there. That, and there's that. Nothing important either. There we go. I need to punch these a bit bigger. I swear to God, if I have to punch that even bigger, I'll be... Damn it. I usually don't like punching them up bigger than I need to. That definitely is going to do it. There we go. Got that set, and that set. Pretty sure that's gonna be my winner for the chicken dinner. There we go. Keep getting caught on one of my tools underneath. I'm sitting here choking myself on accident. Yeah, the other one is what I needed. Just making sure before I went too far. There we go, that set it nice. I saw that. Thank you, Holly. I'm gonna have to test that out because that's not functioning correctly and that's bothersome. It wasn't sending the notification. Let me see. Yeah, no idea why that didn't play. Bear with me for a second, guys. There we go. Hey, there we go. That worked. And I have no idea what just shifted, and now that's...
There's a ghost.
Yeah, apparently. No, not that. That should go through. And if it don't, that would bother me too. That's not going anywhere. Yeah, I didn't stamp the inner ones with the bigger. There we go. And I'm gonna pop in the chat for a hot second. There we go. Just making sure everything's all set. This stamping is always a smidge difficult. Because you gotta hold both pieces in place and have consistent pressure downward that this actually seats well. There we go. There we go. This will be easier to mess with because I'm not having to fight the curvature of the axe. Beautiful. Got that set. Actually, I'm gonna need that. And set this. And we're set with this. Furniture out one more time. Should probably get one of those too. So I ended up talking with my supplier, getting some tips and tricks off of them. And one of the things that they mentioned in terms of getting some slightly better results on the burnishing, because apparently my gum track is actually doing okay, because I thought for a while it was actually messed up. But turns out that there's a couple of things that I could be doing that would actually improve how well the results were. One of them is actually doing using more of the gum trag to get a slicker result. So that's part of why I want to hit this. The other one actually is not using gum trag,
It's actually using mink oil paste, which is not one that normally is used. And I hate to say it, but the guy at the supplier was right. Had to be using a bit more gum trag to get the results that I was aiming for. Because it just seemed it seemed odd that I wasn't getting the results that I needed to, and it seemed like using a lot of the gum trag just was wrong. It seemed like it was a level of overkill that was just not necessary. Son of a bitch. I'll take the win, though. That's not what I thought was going to be part of the trick.
I need to pop up the stream again. And that's the other thing that I just noticed too.
There we go. Fix that. Got that wide angle back for you guys. Yeah, that's much better. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and grab some of that leather balm now. And I need myself a little bit of a rag.
And I'm just making sure that I got the chat up so that I can properly see you guys as well. And that everything is still streaming.
Well, last time I had the stream kept like crashing.
I remember.
Well, before it was from data dropout. This time it was just random, just no reason. Like the one song from what was that? Or who was that? Ninja Sex Party. No Reason Boner. It was more just like no reason dropout. Kind of sounds like a high school student. No reason dropout. think you can actually do me a favor.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, you don't have to get up.
Oh, good.
What?
So good.
Can you jot a note down? Purple dye. I don't think there was another thing that I needed. Not off the top of my head. Or at least if I did need something, I don't remember what it was. Whoops. Got that set. Going to encourage the drying process. Since we got that set. So all this is a wool pad on a I think it's a 6-inch. Let's see. Yep, 6-inch wool pad on a drill attachment. And rather than doing this by hand, I could actually do this by quote-unquote machine, or at least using power tools. Part of the reason why I do that is because I can actually get better results than if I were to do it by hand using this. It's still just using a wool. It would still just be using a wool pad. Just rather than wear myself out, I could actually get better results using this. That tends to not be healthy. Oh, that was not good for that. I'm gonna make sure that actually sits down there this time. Yeah, so now it's getting a nice, how it's a little dull on there. Getting a nice shiny finish. Yep, showing that little bit of dull. Now I got ourselves a nice, wonderful, shiny finish to it. Actually, from what I can see, that's actually showing up really nice on the stream. So, got ourselves nearly a done project. Last thing is the edge coat that I'm doing here. Got ourselves a brown that we're going to use. It is a fresh bottle. There's the trash can. I need to get a Bluetooth set of this. Problem is I don't have a Bluetooth adapter to my computer, so I'd have to like buy and install it, which is going to be its own process. Did Isla respond back by chance?
I don't think so. Let me double check. No.
Okay. Figured I'd ask. I'll check out the chat just in a second, guys. Doing okay? Couple more things on this I could actually hit with this specific tool for the edge coat, but gonna need to go to something bigger in a second. Yeah, because this is actually so big that this won't work. You know, the amount of the burnish edge here that I have to address. So, once I double check and touch up on everything else and I speed dry it, very nice. Set that there. I realize there's one other segment that I can do. Probably going to work on the granny square blanket I started yesterday. Nice. How long have you been doing those types of square blankets? And then I saw Nisbet. His is everything there anyway. I have no idea what you're referring to.
Maybe how. Typo.
Yeah, how's everything there anyway? Everything's actually been going pretty smoothly. I actually went to a party yesterday where I had caught up with a lot of friends and a good chunk of people, or actually had a couple people there buy some of my leftover leather product that I had pre-made a long time ago. And they're super happy with everything so far on that. And they said they are 100% going to go to me again for a future project of theirs, and one of them gave me a project to work on. There we go. Got ourselves a nice uniform application. Speed up this drying process a bit. And now, always got to make sure your tools are clean, so otherwise that's just going to cause you problems down the road. And on to the next part, which is going to be a smidge tricky. probably not going to be able to use any of that stuff. I'm going to have to use one of my applicator paddles. Yes, how's everything going? Everything's actually been going smoothly. Can't express how happy I am that things have actually been panning out. Oh yeah, yep, that was the trick for the lighter stuff. Using one of my silicone applicators. Gives myself a nice flat edge to apply this and make sure that I'm not over applying. Sorry for my silence, everyone, just because I am...
Focusing.
Yes. ADHD hyperfocus go brrr. This is pretty much a finished product now. Ready to send over to him. Now the owner of this actually lives a little far from me. We are lucky that he was able to catch me at a event so he can pass this off to me in person. Figuring out, beautiful. We've talked about figuring out how to go ahead and meet up in person again, but my thoughts is that we might need to do a mail delivery on this instead. This is looking very completed. I'm really liking how this has turned out thus far. I just peeked at the chat, nothing new, which is 100% okay. My bitches, bros, and non-binary hoes. Is one complete axe sheath. And I'll take the professional photos, or more professional photos. The more professional photos off cam. We're in business. I want to make sure this gets the opportunity to dry and not get messed with. So I'm setting that on a stack of leather where nothing will touch it. And one clean tool. And we are good to go. And now the additional fun of figuring out the new project. Alrighty, so I'm gonna get some dirty bean juice into my system.
Dirty bean juice.
Yes! Get that bitch dirty bean juice. Bitches love dirty bean juice. Coming from someone who had dirty bean juice. Alright. I cannot read that, Twitch. Jesus, why are you so tiny? Yep. All right. Looks like we're in business there. Actually, don't need that anymore. Actually, I do want to save that because I use that for project logging. All right. Get some of that dirty bean juice. Oh, it's so glorious.
Glorious bean juice.
Juice, glorious juice. So, we have to figure out. I have to figure out this nonsense. And turn that back on. Sounded like a video game character. Like, Alright. Gotta figure this thing out. I think. Can I get that Sharpie back that you used to make that note?
No.
How dare. Because I need to make a cover for this too. So this is how the sheet's gonna go in there. I'll trace the actual rough size approximation. Try not to shift it around. Okay. Okay. So I think I know what I want to do with this. What I want to do is... I want my wing divider. Yeah, I want my wing divider. And this is actually a good opportunity for you guys. So if you have questions on this, please, by all means, go ahead and send a comment in the thread. Yeah, I think that's going to be a good... So I'm just lightly scoring the cardboard here. I can barely see the Sharpie. So now here's my thoughts on how and what I want to do with this. Because this is going to go ahead and be the actual blade edge, I want to make sure that's the segment that's actually protected. So I'm going to have to do this segment here. Gonna do, well, what I'll do is, because I'll be cutting that out as a trace mark. Gonna do that as additional leather. leather for the blade. This what I'm honestly thinking about doing here. That would actually probably look really good. Probably going to have this be... This is actually going to be doubled. So I'm going to have it right here would be good. Fold over / out. And then that will flip over on this side. And what I'll do is I'll have it so that there's, at least this is what my thoughts are. So I want to make sure this is secure. What I'll do is I'll do a rivet here with a strap coming out, and then this will be able to fold over into a slot. And what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to have this is all going to be stitched. This is obviously going to be clear. This is going to be stitched. And actually, I don't need to stitch that because that's going to be raw leather on the inside. So the only thing I need to stitch is this segment here, because this can all be raw leather. This can all be raw leather still. Yeah, that'll work. So I got myself a game plan. Only thing that I'll need to do. So all I'm doing here is making a physical essential note, so that I know that this is all going to be stitch work. Right there, because that's going to be the fold out. If there's a comment that pops up, oh, never mind, I think I see what you're getting at. Maybe use rivets right where the spikes are to give them something hard to hit against. Yeah, you saw what I was getting at. This, rather than have the hard stop there, what I want to do is instead I want to curve that. It started at 9, it's already 10 o'clock. I already got one project done. There we go. So then, what I'm going to do on this segment here probably going to shoot right here for that. So this will be trimmed off, and then to be uniform, that is all going to be stitch work. That did not take. So what's going to happen is, granted, it's obviously off cam. What I'm going to do is this is going to actually be over enough to mimic the curvature that I've got going on here. But this is essentially going to fold over and be identical to this. And actually what I can do, just so it's all one cohesive thing, it's going to be, and then what I'll do here is I do not have a second Sharpie. Not out here, but I'll live. This will come out. Ooh, that'd be a nice touch. Do that to kind of mimic the blade itself. Making sure it's pretty square. I'll have this. Yeah, I like that. There you go. That's gonna look nice. So the top part is going to be, you're gonna need a couple of pieces. You're gonna need a scrap piece for the blade. I'm gonna have that wrap around a little bit. So I'm gonna have one scrap piece to use kind of as a blade guard all through this. This is obviously all gonna be stitch work. And what I'll do to protect it, use that to protect the blade all through here. This actually then is going to get stitching is going to have to get extended out to here. Yep. And that's going to make sure that the actual edge of that piece of leather stays down. And that'll be the same here. Making sure that I give myself nice, uniform stitching here. Just got that set. And what I'll do is I'll also do a slight mark here and here. Now the reason for me doing this is so that I know exactly where I'm going to be cutting on the leather. It's going to be there and there. And that is all going to come out here. It's going to be there. Now the only reason why I'm doing this, you want to do me a favor? There's clear tape and a roll on the edge of the table outside. Farthest from me. I could still use that for smaller project dies.
Which table?
The dinner table. Yeah, you see it now?
Yeah.
Now the reason for this
It was hiding.
is because I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use this to tape all this so that I have a one unit that I could easily just trace. So this is actually going to get folded over. Make sure that I kind of break in the... Yep, so I had it upside down. That's why I do this. Measure twice, cut once. It's easier to kill. Yep, so I ended up not doing that in a big enough of a cut. So instead, what I'm going to do, make sure that that tape holds. This will get folded over. And then I'll just trace this. That is one full and proper template that I can use. Because then for this top piece, because I went ahead and I gave myself those small cutouts in here, I could go ahead and I could just use my scratch awl to etch, so that I know exactly that this is the area for the smaller piece. There we go. And then while I still got this set up and out, I'll clear this off a smidge. And to make sure that I got my stitch gapping set right, because I already got this out here. The stitching here is off. So I'm just going to correct that.
Oh, I gotta take my meds.
That tends to be important.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this as the opportunity, actually, to make sure I set my stitch groover correct. So in this, we'll go ahead and it will follow the edge of the leather all the way around. And this is also why I'm testing it out, to see where it actually hits. And then that will be set. Then I'll have some stitching there. That'll be good. This is all just going to be a single piece there. This is all going to be a single piece here. And then I can go ahead and set my stitch distance, because I didn't actually tighten it. That's set. That's set. That's the spacing we're using that. Don't need this, but I will need to clean it. And then, because that's all going to be flesh on the inside there, what I can do is I could actually do a deer tan lining on the inside. Make this make it super slick, and have this actually be have this be a black, and this all still be purple on the outside. And then that way, when they're actually opening this up, you know, they'll have a nice black background to it. I think that'll actually look really nice. Yeah, we'll do that. That's what I'm thinking. So the next thing I'm going to be setting up is that scrap piece sandwich between the outside covered piece or stitch on top of the covered piece. So that will actually be sandwiched in between. So you have the exact right idea. Setting this tool back. So essentially what it's going to be is, let's see, because I need to make sure that that's wide enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this for the sizing of that piece. And I'm going to elaborate in a second about what you had asked, but I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, scrap piece that I'm talking about is I got some other scrap leather down here that I can use for that. Is that? Nope. Still holding on to that. That's still usable. This works. This will actually work beautifully. Nope, because I need that all to be one piece. This will not work for what I want to do. I might just cut it. You know what? I got an additional scrap piece here. I was going to use it for a different project, but that was not going to be the case. Actually, I could use the second one of those. It actually worked beautifully. So the scrap piece that I'm talking about is going to be sandwiched between the two. So if we're going to imagine that this segment right here is actually the blade guard that I'm referring to, that there's going to be the bottom piece here. That's actually going to be on the outside. There's going to be the bottom piece there. This is going to be the blade guard on the inside to make sure it's not going to compromise the stitching at all. And then this is going to be sandwiched on top. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what you were talking about, but yes, that is essentially what I'm going to be going at. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to mark up. I'm trying to make the best use of the leather and not have a ton of scrap. And it probably makes sense now why I did those little cuts in there too. That's gonna be there. That is all gonna be blade guard as well. That I'll have end there. And I could barely see the marks, so I need to go through and rescore. Yep, perfect. So I know now the segment, so that's going to go there and then there. So that's going to be cut across, and then this is going to go all through there. And I was double checking the chat real quick, looking like they're still good, but hopefully that clarifies what you were talking about, Space. That does jog my memory of what I can do. Let's see. Nobody asked you. Stupid phone. Oh, whoops. I'm just waiting for the stream to catch up. Confusion cleared. Many domos. You're very welcome. I think I got the zoom right where I want for that. So the other thing I'm going to do real quick is instead of using the wide blade, actually I'm going to go to my smaller utility knife blade. I'm going to scooch this up a bit. Now the other trick with leather, since you are a newer person to learning space is that when it comes to leather, you don't necessarily need to do your cuts for your leather in one shot. You're allowed to do them in multiple cuts. Now, if anything, I recommend that because your first one is essentially a small score line that you can then go ahead and follow again and again and again. Because if you do a strong cut right off the bat, you're essentially setting yourself up for failure. And the reason why I say that is because if you're going super hard on it, if your blade is not sharp or if it skips on you, you possibly just messed up that cut of your leather and then you just lost that leather as a result. So that's why I say go ahead and do multiple lighter cuts. Would any brand of mink oil be good enough for leather, or are there some bad brands to avoid? A lot of the brands, or the main brand that I actually use for my work actually is Thievings. That's the actual brand itself. It's a very common one. It's actually a really good brand. That's actually the same brand that I actually use for a good chunk of the dyes that I use. EcoFlow is another one. EcoFlow has a good chunk of colors for them. That's an alcohol base, so it does dry and it will dry out the leather a little bit, so you'll need to treat it with like a neat's foot oil or mink oil anyway. The pro dyes that I have, they don't have a whole ton of colors. They do have a few. They have a royal blue, they have a green, a yellow, and a red, and you are able to mix them, to get different shades. So I could still technically get a purple out of this. But you want to make sure that if you're doing something like that, you pretty much make it in a big enough of a batch so you're not having to like make multiple small batches and then essentially you get screwed. Because if you do a small batch and then you run out, you have to mix it to try to match the smaller batch that you had, and it might not come out properly. But the Pro Dye is actually, it's got some alcohol in there, but it's also oil based. So the color fastness and how uniform the color is a lot better than the alcohol based ones. So Thievings Pro Dye, I do recommend that. EcoFlow is not bad, but it's just something to keep in mind, and that's just alcohol based dyes in general. That's not just specific to EcoFlow. It's just something you want to keep in mind. But to go back actually to what you had mentioned of mink oil paste, like if any mink oil paste, will work. Honestly, do look at the reviews for the mink oil itself. See what people say. Because it's a natural product, it's not actually going to be anything that goes bad. Because it's oil. Because I've used the mink oil. Well, I have not actually used that specific mink oil, but there's a mink oil that I ended up nabbing from Tandy Leather. They are a leather supplier. This was on clearance on their website at the time. I snagged it. I used it for my leather jacket, which is actually currently off frame in the wide shot. But I've used it. I've not had any particular issue with it. So this is not bad. But this was just something that I got, to give it a shot. It worked. I didn't have a problem with it. I continued to use it. But I do recommend actually using the paste as opposed to like any other like added compounds. I'm hoping this is all like answering your questions, possibly more too. If they respond or still, let me know.
Okay.
code.
Response.
Yes. Questions answered. Very cool. Thank you. Yeah, I was thinking about softening new cowboy boots to speed up the break-in process. Yes, mink oil or neat's foot oil. If you've ever owned a baseball glove, I did. I was doing baseball as a kid. It did not work out well for me because it just could not hold my attention. It was too slow of a sport. Neat's foot oil is another good one when you're just trying to condition and soften leather. Here is the one that I have and that I use. You can buy them in, decent size. A little bit goes a long way with it. My recommendation is just make sure it's 100% pure neat's foot oil. Don't get any of the compounds that they have out there. I think I'm free on most of this. I will say something else that just came to mind is that when it comes to knives, when you're just doing kind of like the rough cut stuff, you're not having to do anything like fine-tuned of any method. Utility knives are actually freaking fantastic. Part of the reason why is because if your blade ends up getting on the dull side, you could just break off the tip and you essentially have yourself a new blade ready to roll. You're not having to, actually exchange out an entire blade like X-Actos. There's nothing wrong with X-Actos. You get a finer tip, you can make tighter cuts. Part of the reason why I'm not worried about that with this is because this is actually on the inside. This doesn't have to be like super refined and accurate because it's on the outside. Because it's on the inside, there's a couple of, you can have a little bit of forgiveness in your cut. Not a whole ton because this is a blade edge. This is actually for a knife sheath. I need to make sure that this actually can go in super smooth. But like this a little bit here that's like a little bit marred up, I'm not super worried about. I do appreciate you being active in the chat space. And also, as a heads up, leatherwork is not cheap. Just in the tools that I've got, they're sitting on the bottom segment that actually just has my stamps alone. That's probably close to, I'd say about maybe $500. This gets into a really expensive hobby really quick. This segment here is giving me some trouble. There we go. Beautiful. Got that cut out. What I'm going to see is if I have enough room or space in here. And from the looks of it, I do or might. Might have myself enough room. To actually get the top segment of the blade guard. And I'll be damned there is enough. And that is why mapping out your leather matters. Beautiful. That worked swimmingly. How are we on time? Jeez, we're only 10:30. We're making excellent headway. Actually, and that's not gonna be enough. Gonna have to shift that over. Sorry, guys. Bonk. I'm gonna shift that over so I got a little bit more leeway. This is why I like using some pre-made stamps where I can, because I could get nice clean edges. So like with this, I don't have to worry about making those fine cuts. And there, that's a nice solid clean cut, no rough edges, because this is going to be a show edge. And with the brand new blade, tip on the edge of this utility knife, this cuts through leather like butter. So now here's a good example of why doing light cuts really helps. It's because, making sure I'm still in frame, this is a show edge. I really don't want to mess this up. So in doing a light cut, I'm essentially giving myself a trough on my subsequent passes. That my blade will follow, and my blade's not skipping either. And also, because I'm using just the tip on this, I can make sure I can make some of those more delicate curves in the design, and not have them be like super straight because my blade keeps jumping as I'm trying to cut it. Just looking at the chat. Confusion cleared.
A brand, questions answered. Sure, thanks for the wisdom experience. $500. There goes my year of ramen. Yeah, like you can actually get into Leathercraft still, you know, at a relatively cheap price point. You know, because utility blades like this are relatively cheap. You know, you can hit up like a hardware store like a Harbor Freight, because they actually sell like discounted items from manufacturers. You know, because they didn't meet their quality standards or whatever, that they go ahead and Harbor Freight buys at an extreme discount. And then they go ahead and they sell it to their customers, you know, at a exceedingly high discount. So like utility blades, you know, from Harbor Freight, a blade is a blade. You know, that's not really going to matter. You know, does it need to be sharp? Yes, but like X-Acto knives are cheap. These types of utility blades are cheap. You know, getting a ruler like this works fantastic, and I highly recommend getting something with a cork back on it, because then it's not going to slide on you as much as if I were to do the steel just on the back side. So getting something like this helps a lot, so that you can break the utility knives off, getting a set of pliers like that. Getting yourself like a nice hammer like this doesn't really matter. You know, don't use steel. Don't use steel on steel. That's going to cause problems. Getting yourself... let's see. You can get yourself a poly hammer from Harbor Freight really cheap. Or if you wanted to still keep that like aesthetic of doing leatherwork, this is a rawhide hammer, relatively cheap from most suppliers or on Amazon. Doing that, getting yourself a scratch awl. This is from, you know, my supplier, but again, Harbor Freight sells these relatively cheap too. From there, you don't need the fancy stitch punches that I have. I definitely highly recommend doing a wing divider, or you can even use a compass, just so long as you got something that's got a little bit of a sharp edge to it. Reason being is because, kind of like how you saw with the cardboard that I was doing, you can kind of have a set distance and then trace where your stitching is going to go. You know, you can go ahead and then use that same compass, adjust it, and then essentially just do what effectively would be very similar to this, once it's at a set distance, to walk your even stitch pattern all the way across. It'll take time, but you'd be able to pull it off. And then knives, contact cement if you're going to be gluing a couple of pieces together. Stitching, get yourself some leather stitch needles. Do not use upholstery needles. The sharp point is not necessary, especially if you're going to be pre-punching your holes, you know, inside the leather, at which point you can use the same scratch awl to do that, but make sure you have a protective barrier underneath, at which point get yourself a rubber mat like this, or get yourself a plastic cutting board like that. It's going to minimize any possible damage you give your scratch awl when you're doing that. That's a very basic start that you can do. And then your leathers, find yourself a leather supplier online that has, you know, as you're just getting started on this stuff, get some lower quality leather. There's going to be like some marks or bug bites from the cow's former life, but that will actually set you up to be in a position where you can actually start practicing and messing around with leather, but not have to shell out a ton of money for like premium, like near perfect leather as a result. And there might be some holes in the hide itself, but you're just starting. It's a good economical way to get into leather crafting and not break the bank. I know I just rattled off a ton of stuff there. Hopefully that all made sense as well. And hopefully that gives you a good start to getting into leather crafting. There's also a lot of good DIY YouTube videos out there that also have additional input to how to get started into leather crafting, how to, you know, do certain small-time projects. Weaver Leathercraft is someone that is actually a company that I follow, because the guy on there has phenomenal energy. He's an older guy, but he has a lot of good input when it comes to getting started in leathercraft and explaining the process as well. So this is where all that is going to sit. Now, to make sure that I have enough for my little flap here. It's going to come across. What I want to do is I want to see if I can salvage what's already on here. Because if that can just fold over and do the trick, then again, using the most out of the leather that I have, you know, where's, you know, a nice solid long piece that I can use for something like that. So like this is all probably going to be too small for what I'm aiming for. Granted, something that just came to mind that would actually probably look pretty cool is if I salvage this piece right here. This is all probably going to be too small. If I get a long enough of a piece, this, I could actually go ahead, I can stitch in the edge here and here. I'd have to thin out the inside, but this can be where that leather piece tucks in. So, the real question being, what I'm going to do real quick, keep that. That is too small for what I'm aiming for. So all I'm seeing here is what is a longer piece of leather that I might be able to salvage. This is probably going to be feasible enough for me. So all I'm doing is I'm squaring it up on my grid here. And we're going to say about there should be more than enough for what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger actually. So I've got a light compression there. So if I were to ever lose track of this, I can go back and reline things up and cut it. So then that's set to go. So on this, I'm going to demo mark and see if I set this here, you know, approximately. I'll trim that. So I got I think setting this right here is going to look pretty nice, fairly centered. So I'm going to grab my Sharpie here. That's where that's going to be. This is going to get riveted on the back side. So I'm approximating that's about where it's going to be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to snag my punch here. That's where it's going to be. I'm going to smack this. So that is lined up there. This. See, I'm a little lower than what I expected there. And that's why I went ahead and I did that. You know, I wanted to make sure that I had myself a solid location. So that's actually not where that's going to work out. So what I'll do is I'll line this up roughly where it's going to be. Actually, what I'll do is I'll measure this 2 1/4. So it's going to be 2 1/4. It's going to be an 1/8. 1, 2, 8, 9, 10. So just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is actually going to be centered. It's actually centered there. It's actually going to be right about there. So from here to there, across, that is going to be where my rivet hole is. So, matching that up with the correct hole then, that is going to go across. It's a little shy for what I want. I want a little bit more tail out here. So this is actually not going to work for what I'm doing. But I wanted to give it a shot, see if I could salvage that material at all. So that won't work. This, I still like that. Instead, what I'm going to try to find and do is I've probably got a little bit of scrap leather somewhere. This will actually work. This will actually work really well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure out where this is going to be. First things first, I'm gonna roughly square that off. This was from a different project from someone that just didn't pan out. So that is gonna go there. It's going to wrap across. I'm not using the full width of this. I'm literally just using this so far just to, it's gonna be the very end. It's the very edge. That's the very end right there. And what I'll do to make sure that this is set, I'm gonna need to feather that, and to make sure I got myself stitching on that. Obviously I'm not stitching this whole thing. I only really want that little bit actually stitched. Maybe a little bit less. Because that leather is actually going to go inside that. So what I'm doing here is now I know that's how much I got to work with. So I got myself 3/4 of an inch. I want to go less than that because it'll be easier to get in and out. So really I'm going to do about a 1/2 inch strip. That's actually what I'm going to use for this. So just trim that off. That does me nothing. And I'll need, actually I need to remap that. It's gonna go there, and that actually is here. So go with that edge. I have, let's go back to our 1/2 inches. So I got 1/2 inch here. So then what I can do is use my wing divider, set that to edge length, set that there, and got myself a nice uniform strip that follows the already existing edge. And where I'm going to be, ending at the just about be right there. So cut that off right there. Beautiful. So we got our little flap that we can use for that. Go away. So the other thing I'm going to do real quick, I cut it off because it had a mark on it. Because it had the cut on the back side. This is a skiver. You don't have to use this. You can technically use a utility knife. You know, make sure that you're going in shallow and slowly slicing it away. This just makes it exceedingly faster and easier. But all I'm doing is I'm shaving the flesh side a little bit. Now the reason why I'm doing this, bear with me while I focus. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm making, this is going to be the side that sits on the back end. I don't want this sticking out a whole ton, so I want it a little bit more flush to it, and it's not going to be under a whole ton of stress from holding anything. So what I'm doing is I'm thinning this out a hair. I'm going to do to make this look nice and pretty, and this is again just an additional tool that I have, you know, and it's not a requirement for what I'm doing. Nice. Is I'm going to round this off. But since I'm going ahead and I've already got like this like pointed edge kind of theme going, I want something that's going to kind of match it. So I've got a smaller point punch here that I'm going to use. I'm going to get this, or try, sorry, I'm going to be blocking the cam for a second, about as close to proper center as possible. And when I punch this, got myself a nice pointed edge there. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same feathering on this side because I want this side to be able to go in easier over here, and it will still match that theme. So I'm going to thin this out, but I'm going to go a little bit farther because I need to make sure it's going in easier all throughout this distance. So at a minimum, I need to come out to, I would say, here, which obviously is going to get thinned out throughout the entire distance. Because of how sharp this is, I'm doing a lot of smaller shaves, very lightly taking this off. The reason being is because if I put too much pressure on this, I could actually go so far shallow that this actually goes ahead and actually essentially cuts the leather all the way through to the other side, and then I just trash this. So far doing pretty good. And when it gets thinned out, what's happening is that it's also making it so that it can stretch out a bit, like how it's doing right there. So that's actually probably that actually might be too thin for what I'm trying to do. So what I'm going to see is if, yeah. So I have myself actually a little bit extra enough that it's not too big of a problem. So what I'm actually okay with is actually up to about this point. And if that sits there, this will actually fold over easier because it is thinner. Probably going to thin that out a little bit more, and then that will actually go across. And that should be sliding in nice and easy. And again, I don't want to thin this out too much, just a little bit. So I'm just trying to be very careful about it. Oop. Now, snagged the leather and ended up digging pretty deep. So I'm going to use this blade here. I'm going to try to even that out a smidge. That should work for what I'm going for. I'll go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Very nice. Cool. So, got our top piece. That is our little blade guard there. Now, I might have to go ahead and round this out a bit because the blade itself obviously has to get in there. So that's gonna have to sit in here. I want to make sure that that actually gets in there nice and easy with the project itself. So that is gonna go in like that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to round that out a bit because I want to make sure that actually gets in there, comes in and out nice and smooth. So what I'm gonna do is I've got a little bit of a corner round punch here. I'm just using this to give me that rounder edge. And that did the trick. So the other thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm also going to thin out the edges over here. Not by much, but enough. And the reason being is because I go ahead and I double up on the stitching on the edges to make sure these sit nice and tight to the edge of the project. Because this is going to get stitched in, but I want this to actually sit a little bit lower and flatter, and same thing with this, because otherwise I'm just going to have a hard step coming down from the edge of this leather into that leather. So I want to thin that out a bit so it'll be a nice easy transition from one leather layer to another. Yep. And that's really all I kind of needed to do to thin that out. Fantastic. That works. Probably going to do this end a little bit more. Yeah. And you see that I'm essentially doing the same thing as that skiver that I did before, but I'm just using a blade. Because it does the trick. Fantastic. So this is going to sit there. Now one of the things I'm going to do right away, since I've got this here, is I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to scuff up this edge. This side, or the flesh side, they're already, they've got the little bit of hair on there. That's totally okay. The reason being is because the contact cement will actually hold this better. So I'm going to snag my contact cement here. And get that out of the way. I've got this still. Still need to make the bigger piece here. That'll be the back side of it. And because I know how big this is, I don't need this to go ahead and be bigger than what it needs to be. So what I'm doing here is I'm setting this and I'm marking on the flesh side where that piece will pretty closely lay. And the reason for that is so that I don't over glue. So that sits right there. That's a small dot. Excellent. So now I know exactly how much I'm going to be gluing on there, and I can see just a little bit of a mark. That's all I need. When you hit up a leather supplier, they have like water-based, water-based leather bond, or it's just contact cement. Even the leather supplier that I went to says it's just like contact cement is totally okay and does the trick. It's essentially the same thing. You save yourself money in the process. Because at least at the leather supply shop that I go to, they understand. Leather's expensive as hell. So saving money where you can, where you essentially can do and get the same results, they do not mind. Or at least at the shop that I'm at. The guys are super chill, super cool over there.
Can confirm.
Yes, because you did come with me that one time.
I did.
That is going to sit like that. What's funny is that the guy that I'm commissioning this for is just like, oh, no rush. But it's like, I've only been doing this for an hour now. I've already made fantastic progress on the piece.
Being very productive.
Yes. Exceedingly productive. So here's the other thing that I'm going to be doing as well. So when this sets on here, leather has a little bit of flexibility and give. So while I'm still working on setting it on here, I can shift it around ever so slightly, which just actually works fantastic. So you're going to see this other bit of the process as well. So I mentioned before not getting a steel hammer. Yes, you can get one, but you're not using it for your punches. This is what you would use something like that for. Set this off to the side. Getting yourself a small segment of granite here does you wonders. And what you could do here is you can actually pick up something like that for free. Just cruise around local granite shops, you know, like your countertop makers or whatever. Swing by there every once in a while. Find out what their trash day is. They'll usually lay out their trash or, you know, their scrap granite segments that they're not doing anything with. They'll set them out at the curb. Snag it. This granite piece that I have just in the offshoot of the wide camera, that was one of their scrap pieces. Nabbed it for free. But this piece that I got here, I'm using a steel hammer here. Now you can get something that's specialized for this. You really don't, just as long as you have a hard surface to tap from one to another. And what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that the glue is actually kind of spreading out through everything in the leather, and then I'm getting solid contact. Now they have a roller at a lot of supply stores for leather for this. It does the same thing. You know, essentially what that roller is that it's not going to mark the leather. Well, this is on the inside, and it's not on a show side, so I don't care. And now I made sure that I got myself a nice solid contact on all of this. And this does not have to be perfect all through the outside. That is fine. There's a reason why, is because I'll actually be taking a Dremel and I can actually, I'm going to sand this smooth and then I'm going to bevel it so that I can actually give this a nice burnished edge to it as well. And then just doing that test fit of the blade itself, that's going to sit in here. I should still have enough clearance here with the stitching. And that, what it's doing is that it's catching up here. So what I might do is I actually might trim this down a bit, because this then is going to go ahead and sit better inside the sheath. So that actually is about, because this is going to mimic. It's going to be right about there. Fucking lost it. That's right. There. There we go. So, still has that look to it, which is totally okay, but it's to make sure that this will actually sit nice on the back side here. Now what I'm going to do to kind of finish that up a bit as well is I'm going to use that corner round punch that I have. And this is, again, one, like I mentioned, it's just one of those like tools that makes life a little bit easier for you. It's not required. That, to make sure I'm doing this right, is that'll sit right in there. I'm going to round that corner off by doing that. See? Almost did steel to steel. Fantastic. So then this will actually sit right like this. It'll sit in there nice and pretty. Fantastic. I'm probably going to trim that up as well. Yeah, do a light trim of it. Just so I can dodge the spikes. Okay. Beautiful. Already making actually freaking excellent progress. So I mentioned that I gotta thin this out a little bit too. This is gonna be a little bit trickier. So what I'm gonna do, make my life a little bit easier. So I'm actually gonna go ahead. Yeah, I'm gonna use my groover real quick. Gonna bring this in because I did make this a little bit of a shallower stitch, so I have more space. And since I know where these stitch grooves are, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-punch the stitch holes in here while the leather itself is still dry. Grab this. Tools to the left of me, knives to the right, here I am. Doing Leathercraft with you. I figured it out. I was like, I'll figure something out. And that works out perfect for this stitching. The reason why I did that is because now I know the area and the channel, essentially, that I got to go ahead and I got to thin out, which is going to be right in this area, right here. I have to thin that more than likely all the way across. So this is going to get a bit on the tricky side of how I'm going to do that and do it well. I'm probably going to have to do something like this several times. But you always want to cut away from yourself because God forbid your knife slips. You don't want to be visiting the hospital. Thanks for the stream, Sigma. I enjoyed the content. Good luck with the project. Have a great day. Hey, I appreciate you going ahead and sticking around. The rest of this stream will be up on the YouTube once I get that software issue figured out. So you can actually catch the rest of this later on. So thank you so much for tuning in. And for everyone else in the stream, we still got another about hour and a half to go. We're going to see what progress we can make on this in that time. This is definitely tricky, but we will go ahead and get this hashed out. And the reason why I'm not using my skiver on this is because I can't really bank that it'll come out super well on this because it's not actually on an edge, it's in the middle of a segment of leather. are making some progress. Nope, almost did the cut, almost broke my cut towards myself rule. Alright. Actually doing real good on this. So far, it doesn't look like the stream has borked on me, and
Knock on wood, you can't say that. You're gonna jinx it.
come from the person who literally, me saying shush, literally as I just said that. Whoops. What sucks is that this is like just big enough. Just doing really small scores. Yeah, that's a lot better. So, got that hashed out. So got that set. Need to get my stitch line set as well. That doesn't need to be as tight. So that's going to sit right there. Go ahead, I'm going to turn the camera off momentarily so I can get some dirty bean juice.
Dirty bean juice.
Cold dirty bean juice, but it actually tastes pretty good. Whoops. Yeah, but these tight curves, whoops, gets tricky. So that groove is set. So it's a nice, beautiful stitch groove here. Now the reason for this is because the stitching will actually sit flush, if not slightly beneath the leather. So I don't have to worry about that getting nicked
in its normal everyday use, and the fact that the guy has, you know, a fair amount of knives of his own as it is. I got these scraps, set those underneath in my basket. Now we got to set ourselves up with the next part of this. So, I need to get myself... Ooh, that was my fucking shin. Oh, that sucked. Ow! Oh, leather, 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 leather. All the leather. It's too loose. Yep. Here's the leather. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear myself off some space so I could actually bring this out. That will sit there. Still need that. Don't need this. I'm gonna fucking rub my shin. That's gonna be a bruise. Ugh, that hurt. I'm gonna set my block down. I'm gonna shift my granite block out of the way.
It's gonna be dyed purple, right?
Yes. So you got a first time chatter. Praetorian SPQR. I'm gonna call you Praetorian. What color is the project being dyed? Purple. Took an arrow to the knee. Yes. And not a fun way to get a bruise either. No, that's. Yeah, that's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt for a while. And I'm probably gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, hey, what is this bruise? Oh, that's right. I remember what that was from now. I know that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna want my smaller punch. And I'm gonna set that there. This is gonna be the side that goes on the back show side. So what this is, since you're a first-time streamer and you're catching up, or just chiming in, first off, thank you for popping in. Happy to have a new person joining in on fun. But what we got set up here is you're doing a knife or dagger, sword, doing a knife sheath.
It's not a sword.
Yeah, definitely not a sword. All words are made up. Got ourselves a sword. God, got ourselves a knife sheath. Jesus, I'll get this right eventually. That we're doing for a friend of mine. He actually talked to me just yesterday to commission it. So this is the project that we're working on today. Moving tools, making space. And we'll bring the wide view back up for you as well. Finger loops. Finger loop. Oh, it's you! Hey! Yes, finger loop goat. Actually, since you have popped into the stream, not that, just so you can actually see the leather itself. Praetorian, for the rest of the chat, he's actually someone else that is commissioning a project for me. But here's the green leather that I'm doing for you and your project. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing it on stream, but this is the leather in question. It's actually probably going to take up both of these hides that I have to make the project. And goat is not cheap, but it will be. I have full faith that this will actually be fantastic in the end. But I do appreciate you popping in here, man. Good to have another person in the chat here. And I see that you went ahead and you followed. Thank you so much for the follow. I do this every Sunday from 9 to 12. So you'll actually go ahead and actually be able to see, doing this, doing all this on camera. You'll be able to see the entire creation of your project. So I'm going to bring this camera out. That should give you a good view. I need to wait for the stream to catch up. And because this is going to be the display side, this is going to be the flexion side, so this I need to mark before I mess this up.
I need a new Sharpie. And I know where one is. Do you think you could do me a favor, Arista? In the garage on the workbench, so as you go out through the door, hard left, there's a Sharpie that I have in there that I know for sure.
Alright.
Oh yeah, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do for that cut.
Just checking up on the chat. Finger Loop Goat Project. Yep, love the green. It will be worth it. Love DIY stuff. Lost my workshop when I split my ex. Oh no, never been on Twitch. Usually just YouTube. Yeah. So if you ever end up missing, one of my Twitch streams, once I get my software situation figured out with the company that I actually bought it from, if you end up missing the stream, all my streams will actually be up on YouTube, typically Sundays, but I'm currently backlogged because my this video editing software messed up. Yes, that's the one.
A smaller one? Because I have a bunch of smaller ones in my car.
Nah. This is perfect for what I'm doing. Beautiful. So I'm doing this to make sure that I'm actually cutting this correctly in the right orientation, because otherwise this project gets borked and I have to recut this again. And I do not want to do that. Two. There we go. Flesh side, top grain. Yeah. That will work. Excellent. Yes, should be the same username. Actually, if you look in the bottom left where you see it says Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Sigma TheWolf, it is all under that same name. And for whatever reason, my sound notification program is not working. And to make sure I'm marking the correct one, I know it was this one. I'm just marking the cardboard, not the leather. Misa, not that stupid. Yes, I did just pull a frickin' Jar Jar Binks, and I'm ashamed of myself. I'm ashamed of myself for that one. And just so that you're caught up, Praetorian, as well, I'm actually going to be this runs until 12:30, so I got about another hour that I'm going to be doing this. Just so that you are aware. And I see my mark on that. Excellent. Got our hunk out. This can go back into storage. And I can trim the rest of this. This I can be a little bit more gonna need to be a little bit more precise on this. Doing that because I want to make sure that I finish it correctly when it's folded over. Just catching up in chat. Laundry, Leather, Criminal Minds. Good morning. I used to watch Criminal Minds and I absolutely loved it. And I got sidetracked by other stuff. It's very hard to hold my attention when it comes to TV and movies and things of the similar nature. That's essentially trash because I'm not gonna be able to get anything. That's still something I could probably get something out of. And now the hard curve. Here, this. Move your eyes closer so you're not just seeing the top of my head. Let's cut across. Excellent. Beautiful. Nice solid piece of that. See? And this is why I figured that I'd go and accidentally mess this up. See, I tried to go and double check and Make sure I had it right. They still messed it up. This is correct. The other side was not. So how did I mess that up? Where's that? Ah, this is the side I messed up. This is correct. I messed up the top piece. That's how I messed that up. Okay. Simple enough. Simple enough for correction. This I can still reuse. Because again, this is going to be an underside. Doesn't matter. This I can still salvage for something else, despite my accidental mess up. That's top green side. Actually, I can just snag this piece again. Because this has to sit there. This is going to sit here. And I can just trace that. And then re-glue. And since I didn't do any skiving on this, I should actually go this cutting actually go pretty quick. That's how it should be. And this is not side specific. Making sure that I got light that I can actually even see where I'm cutting.
I like the sound of it.
Oh, the sound of the leather being cut.
Yeah.
And my phone go buzz. This was the larger punch.
Lovely. Excellent. Scrap piece I can salvage. Scrap piece I can salvage at a later day. So this, I have to rough up the back end. Make sure I have a good adhesion piece.
That's a nice sound too.
You want to try touching base with Isla again?
Yeah.
All right. And now comes the somewhat fun part. Make sure this folds over and meshes correctly. Freaking beautiful. So what I'm gonna do here real quick is I'm just gonna do light tapping on this, and the reason why is just because I want to make sure this properly creases so I know exactly where that's going to be. Bring this out. And need my wing divider again. Catch you up on this Praetorian. All this is to make sure that I don't over glue more than I need to on the leather. Since that is already flesh, I'm set there. Just catching up on something. Contact cement again. Sure I'm doing that right. So I'm gluing this side. The reason I went ahead and glued everything on the edge of the top of this is because since we're already here and everything's already cut out, what I'm going to do is going to glue this side as well. And we'll just put all of it together. And then I can tap out any air and make sure I got nice solid adhesion all throughout.
This was that scrap piece I don't care about. This need to go up to at least here. It should be about there. Right there. So what I'm doing here, Praetorian, and the rest of chat, is I'm marking, again, the area where I need to be gluing. Because the contact cement on the other half is going to start getting tacky. And then this will be able to this will be able to adhere. Very nice. All right. I'm just loosely setting this here for now, and there's a reason. If I can frickin' remember where things are. Where's my poke? Just because I want to know where that's sitting. Because I need to grab something real quick. I'll be right back. Well, I'm still going to be on stream. I just need to be on the other side of the table. Woo! Foam tends to slide on wood, everybody. Just giving you the heads up. Oh, it's not in there. Nope, not in there either. Alright. Here's what we're going to do. Purple is made with green and blue.
No. Red and blue.
See, this is why I didn't go to art school. Red and blue. Not that. Protecting my handsies. That was a nut. So we are experimenting with colors. I'm going to use this scrap piece and that scrap piece and use this brush. Because all I want to do is I want to see See, this came out like black. You lied.
I did not.
Yeah, that came out like black. It's not a bad thing. So all I'm doing is on this inside, I'm coating it. So that's more or less finished. And I say that very loosely because this is not going to be seen, but I want it to be hidden. Because I don't need purple on the inside here. I don't need purple this deep, but I want to make sure that the fibers are still, or that the fibers themselves are still essentially down.
Yes, see? You just mixed them wrong.
Oh, well, bite me.
We love slipping and almost falling after already getting a bruise.
May! Welcome back! Glad to have you back here, May. Actually, what I should probably do is I should probably get myself, like, eyedroppers.
Oh, yeah.
That would do a lot better job. I have to get several to make sure I'm not, like, continually cross-contaminating things. But that is fine. Yeah, that's like black! I'm blaming you because I can.
What did you say before? Green and blue?
Yeah. That's fair. Blue and yellow? No.
No, blue and yellow is green.
So, again, this is why I didn't go to art school. Alright, don't need that anymore. That. See, that's already super tacky and it immediately wants to adhere. Which is 100% okay. Yep. Just making sure that this is all matching up pretty close so I don't have to be doing a bunch of unnecessary and excessive sanding on this. Get this and make sure we give ourselves a nice solid adhesion. What?
We're all giving you lessons on color
Red and blue,
mixing.
purple, and yellow.
Do you
Fight
know-
me!
Do you know what red and yellow makes?
Orange.
Yes.
Fight me.
Congratulations, you get a gold star.
Yay!
Here's a trick question. Do you know what colors make up yellow?
Yellow.
There you go.
Because it's red, yellow, and green are the primaries.
No.
Damn it!
Red, yellow, blue.
Damn it! Again, I didn't pay attention. This is why I don't pay. This is why I didn't pay attention to freaking art class. Excellent.
Yeah, we'll get you a color wheel.
I'm smart, I promise. Alright. Next thing I can do on this is I can go ahead and bevel les edges. Yeah, I can start beveling the edges. So I can bevel this, I can bevel that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. What I'm doing real quick is this is actually quote unquote an eraser. So this is actually taking off any adhesive that might have gone ahead and come out of the seams so that the dye will take real well on the outsides here. There's not going to be any signs of glue on the outside. How are we on time? 11:51. Damn, we're doing great. Let me guess. It's a satisfying sound.
Yes, it is. Fight me.
One other thing that I could actually do real fast. So I got my Dremel wheel out here. What I'm doing is I'm changing out the burnishing wheel on there. I'm changing that out for... That's what that is. Changing that out for a sanding disc. And that is so that I can flatten. Get in there! There we go. And that is so that I can go ahead and get a nice, even, flat surface on this. And I want this in the trash can so that I'm not causing a ton of dust to be flying everywhere and just mitigating that. Yes, you guys get to look inside my trash can. It's such a beautiful thing. Yeah, like you can see actually how there's like, how the edge here is not even, there's even a divot in it. And the goal is just to go ahead and even that out. There we go. That's a smoother edge. God, I love this appendage. Technically not an appendage, but that is not the point. Alright. Now we can bevel.
Damn, there's gonna be lots of fighting today. I love it. LOL.
Fighting? What are you talking about?
It's a little bit of a spicy stream.
So we'll settle this score off stream.
Excellent. Go ahead and burnish that edge too. Make sure you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Don't want to forget you guys. Hit the other side. Such a satisfying noise.
Now you're just making fun of me.
A little bit. But I'm
Well,
also
you
pointing it
know-
out because it legitimately is a satisfying
You know
noise.
what wasn't a satisfying noise? The Dremel.
No, yeah, that's fair. I always go over the edges a couple times just to make sure that once I bevel one edge, that the other edge doesn't really change too much. If it does, I'm obviously covering my bases. That is all coming out. It's all coming out nice. Freaking excellent. This was the one that I marked. The actual punch hole. I need my rubber. Always protect your tools, ladies and gentlemen. Ah! Terrible human being. But it is sound advice. Freaking excellent. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Hey, Peter.
Oh, such a shithead. And actually, I just realized. At least I think I did. No, that's still going. Aha. Why are you not doing the thing? You do not understand why you are not doing the thing. It's because that happened. Somehow I accidentally muted my my audio. No idea how it happened. So got that set. Gonna go and mark our stitch line again. We're at 12:01. Yeah, that'll be good. I was like, my headphones are somehow silent. I was very confused for a second. And I can go ahead and bring up that Twitch again so I can have this. Protect your tools. Dirty. Yes, of course, May. One must always enjoy wordplay. Okay, maybe not enjoy. But when you're working with something like leather, enjoy it. Enjoy the wordplay. Making sure I'm getting myself enough pressure so I can have a nice groove line. Excellent. It's got that set. Onward with the little stool. And we're doing 4 for the punch holes. There we go. I'm making sure or at least doing my best to make sure I go all the way through. So that's not going to be following the curve well enough, so I have to do this one. I'm going to have to do one at a time. I'm going to have to do this one at a time to make sure I can do the curve. Go. All right, almost at the end. Oh, the spacing on this was perfect. that is going to be all stitched across. And here's the blade that will sit inside. Freaking excellent. Much excellent. Alright, from this, essentially what I need to do is you need to dye the pieces. After dyeing, I have to stitch this. And then, once it's all, well, there's one other thing that I could do. Name my phone as a reference point, because I need to remember how and what I did for a stamping project last time. And this is why I love the fact that I took pictures. That's what it was. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do on the back side of this. That's what we did last time as well. On the back side, that was the old stamp logo that I did. The front side was what I did with his initials. So what I'll do with the font is this needs to come up. A little bit more of a stylized. Because it's a lot smaller. The initials were JG. Yep. So what I'll do is I'll mark that down here then. We'll do that for the stamping. Because I'm only doing a little bit of that, I shall only really need a little bit of water to do the trick. And I need the granite block, so I have a hard backstop. Got to do one more thing as well, because that will not pan out. Let's see. Gonna have to do it. I need a hard enough of a backstop, so I'm going to use the blade to make sure that, just as a backstop, so I can make sure that I got a nice solid enough of an impression. There we go, nice deep impression. There's the J, here's the G. So then what you do is you actually set the stamp down where it was at. And then that way you line up your stamp whoops, line up a stamp with the other one. So you got yourself a nice uniform and straight stamping. Something else. What do I have that could probably do the trick? So I need to make sure this... Oh, Jesus, Praetorian, really? Someone was gonna take it there. Freaking excellent. Got ourselves a nice solid impression there. And we will do a very light dot to denotate initials. There we go. Can you do me another favor? I think it was... I don't think it was set. Yes. Satin top coat. If you want to make a note on that. If you want to make a note on that.
Can I have a Sharpie? Or another writing utensil?
There you go.
You said satin top coat?
Yes. And then, did you note the violet dye as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Can all go out of the way. And with that, pretty much ready to go with this project. I'm gonna have to go ahead, I'm gonna have to do the dyeing of this off stream. Now, for a couple of reasons for that is gonna be a matter of saving for time. Actually, not quite done. There's one other thing I can do. And that... I could use the Dremel for this to thin this out. I'm not going to bother moving camera because this should be quick.
Yeah, that would have made it a lot fucking faster last. Damn it. But what I need to do is set that to the side. That can go over there. This, I need this case. So with this case, I'm thinking this will look really nice. Because this is going to be dyed a purple. Doing a chrome accent piece for the rivet. I think that'll look really nice. Is this. Well then, this is going to wrap around then. It's going to wrap around then. That's going to slide underneath. I actually think that is a great spot for it right there. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scratch awl and just do a mark, 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 and mark. So that I know exactly where this piece is going to go. So from here, really all that's left is for me to do the dye work on this. And then I'll be able to do the stitching, and this project will be done. But this is going to be something that I will finish up. Well, a good chunk of it I'll actually do off camera. The only bits of it that I'm going to do off camera is going to be... There we go. The parts I'm going to do off camera is just going to be the dyeing. Going to do the dyeing, probably going to do the burnishing on camera, just because that is something that's not too much of a hassle or problem. There it is. But that's actually got to get done after I dye it. So the dye, because that takes such a long time to go and actually dye, I'm going to do that off camera. Dyeing takes about 2 hours to go ahead and settle fully, and then I'll have to go ahead and buff that out to make sure there's not going to be any bleed through of that dye. So the dyeing's going to be done off camera. We're going to burnish it on camera. We'll stitch it on camera. And then this will be done. This will be a completed project. I've only got a little bit of time left. There's still a thing or two that I could do real quick. I'm going to set that up here. So this can get cleaned up. That can all stay. That can go here. Actually, I don't need this. I'd like for the knife to not hit the floor. Should be dang close. Gotta grab a new thing of cardboard. Now have myself a new surface
cleaned. That's set. That's set. And just about have herself a clean and ready work environment for the next time. That's got to get taken care of. That's got to go into the binder. That I can still burnish. Go into storage, goes there, clean, out of the way. This I'm pretty much done with. Trash, scrap and salvage, and with that, actually, set this on here so I can go and do the dye process. So this is not set yet. Got to edge that. I'll go away over there. This can go back down underneath. I'm not bothering with burnishing the edge on the other side because that's going to lay flat. But the edges where both of them will be essentially open, that I am going to bevel like I am right now. And I will be burnishing those. That's set for dye. This, go ahead, I'm going to edge that which is thick enough. I have enough meat to do so. Don't. Excellent. So that's all done. All that can get dyed now. And with that, setting at 12:27, fantastic timing. Can you do me a favor again, just making a note, if you want to write at the very bottom of that notepad 2 hours, logging the time, so that I can give the gentleman a or have the information so I know what I can give them a number for. And then also next to that, can you mark, let's see, what I've got here, that is 14 by 10. And then also mark six by 4. And then I'll be able to, then I'll have the
square inch measurements so I can find out the number for the cost of the cowhide. But with that said, only got a few minutes left. What I'm going to do is I will be passing off the stream here. We're going to actually go ahead and we're going to raid my friends Alkali and Zanny. They do kind of a comedy talk show chat like engagement type of stream, typically on Sundays. So they usually have a waiting queue leading up to it. So what I want to do is I'm going to give it a few more minutes so that the stream actually will have started. And then that way we can go ahead and raid them as our streaming chat. And you guys can go and hang out and chat with him, interact with him, hear his stories and his little comedy sketches he does. Everything that he does is improv work. So feel free to go give him support. Tell him that I sent you guys. He actually might get a notification on that. But with that said, everyone, thank you so much for sticking around here, being a part of it. Went ahead and we got this project here done. Got a axe sheath. We did an edge coating on that. Went ahead and we did a wax coat and polish. So this is looking really beautiful here for someone. I could go ahead and start coordinating with him delivery for this. And I'll go ahead and I'll dye all this stuff off camera so that when we come back next week at 9 a.m., I'll just need to be doing the burnishing, the stitching, the top finish, and we'll be all set to go. Thank you all so much for sticking around here, joining me today. If you haven't followed, do so. That would be fantastic. If you all have already followed, if you know people that are crafty as well and would appreciate a hangout, a chill hangout and learn type of Twitch stream like this, I'll greatly appreciate it. But that all said, we are set, and let's go ahead and I'll mark this as ending the stream, and we'll go and raid my friend in a moment. I'm just setting it up over on my end real quick.